Welcome into the 30 Minutes of Hell podcast, brought to you by Phil the 68 Network. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Emmy award-winning sportscaster Steve Sullivan, KATV, via Framingham, Massachusetts.
I love the Razorback gear. Unfortunately here, they've jumped off the ship, man. They've given up after 3 conference games.
Sully, this right here is from 97. Warm-up shirt. You like it?
Maybe they need to come
I gotta
out
throw
of
my
those.
uniform
Send
on
one to
every time.
Muss. Send one to Muss. He loves to wear stuff people send him. Shoes,
Oh, that's right. Well,
new
this
shoes.
is a collector's item, Sully. I can't get rid of this. Kidding me?
I don't know if it fit him anyway.
Yeah, I know, right? It'd be like it'd drape over him. You mentioned it. Okay, so we'll get into the Hogs, then we'll get into a few other things. We'll talk some, even some football after. Sitting right now, Sully, 10-5, 0-3 in SEC play, and going into the season, you knew you had a challenge with putting together this chemistry, but you knew you had Jalen Williams, Devo Davis, JD Note. You kind of had a little bit of a foundation there. Where are you right now in terms of how fixable is this? How quickly can they do it? Do you see, we can't be prisoners of the moment, Sully.
Yes, your favorite saying.
Yeah.
Hey, my problem, we're back to square one. If you look at Arkansas, we've got so many great pieces. Note is probably the best scorer, and he's actually playing defense now. He leads the conference in steals.
Right.
And he's playing off the charts, but I think here at Arkansas, it kind of scares them to think that JT Note is our leader. And what I don't like right now is you're hearing a lot of talk about what we were with Justin Smith, Jalen Tate, and Moses Moody, and we're not that. And what worries me is we've got all those great pieces, and we haven't put it together, and we're not defending. And a staple of Muss's teams, they get up and you're grilled 94 feet, kind of like Nolan.
Yeah.
And we're giving up, but these past 3 games, 50% from the floor and some easy buckets. The point we want someone to hammer someone, just let them lay it in. And the way they're losing has been troubling, And we honestly thought coming out of Kansas City that we may go undefeated in January. The schedule was so favorable. And now you're sitting at 0-3, and it's harder to take when you were 12th early in the season and you had all those great hopes, and now just bang, you lose to Hofstra and you're headed the other way.
But I think, Sully, your point of how it's happening. Yeah. So you look at the numbers. You give up 86 to Texas A&M. Oh, Texas A&M, by the way, is trending towards a tournament team. Yeah. So you mentioned, look at the schedule. Well, heck, we didn't realize Mississippi State is now, for however much stock you put into bracketology and all that. I mean, you can look at all the numbers. Mississippi State is right there. Texas A&M is right there. Yeah. So now you look at, how you lose to Hofstra. You give up 89 points. You give up 86 to A&M. You give up 81 to Mississippi State. So it's funny. It's like you look at it, we're scoring plenty of points. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, but part of it is possessions, right? So you mentioned defensively, and that's one thing they talked about on one of the television broadcasts was Coach Muss and one of the other assistant coaches was actually watching game tape with Chris Likes. Guys in the NBA, how to defend. And I don't know if it's, that DNA of being able to understand how to guard the dribble or the value of being able to stay in front of your man. That's really what it is. People always ask, is it fixable? And I say, they got the talent, right? You see the talent. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's there. It's just, I don't know. Is it, do you think at this stage in the game, and Coach Muss is great at pushing buttons. Can they turn that defensive train around? I mean, can you do that?
Coach Muss says he's never worked in his 7 years in college ball through an entire Sunday. And he worked with his staff this past Sunday. He said they usually get a self-scout at the end of the season. He said they got 29 pages on Sunday. Wow. And so he's even tried to play a little zone, but he says that's over. We're back to man-to-man. And, I really think you're to the point where if you don't defend, and I don't care who you are, you aren't playing. And right now, Likes has been the 8 or 9 guy. And think about it. He was supposed to be, a 15, 17, 18 point a game guy. Connor Vanover has been a 7'3" cheerleader. And I don't know what's happened there. And he started on a better team all but one conference game a year ago. And here's the thing, when you're losing, you start asking all those questions. Why this? Why that?
Sure. Right. And it's funny you say that again about Likes, because I suppose from an offensive standpoint, there's, really he's doing his job, getting to the free throw line at a high rate. Yeah. I understand his size sort of may put him at a disadvantage at sometimes, but it's like, that could be used to his advantage. A great disruptor of the defense. And that to me, I don't know how much you have thought about this. If you look at last year, we had guards 6'6", 6'6", Devo Davis 6'4" with a wingspan from sideline to sideline, Sully. And I can't help, I don't know if it's a mentality that length, you can recover from a mistake. Yeah, good point. Size, you can recover from a mistake. But if you're smaller of stature, boy, you got to have anticipation. You got to have grit. That's got to be your almost calling card to be that disruptor. So I want to think that he can put together a lineup. But you're right. I do think that there is sort of like a ship without a captain now, in a sense.
Oh yeah. And you're seeing some bad turnovers. People are starting to play Jalen Williams, who's a gifted big man, as a pass first guy. So they're playing off him, and making him make decisions. And he's not the guy really that's going to put the ball on the floor and go by you. They've kind of figured him out. And it's really interesting how Devo, when he was one of 5 really good players, was so good. And now he's been loose with the ball. He's not posting videos of his midnight workouts. He's lost his mojo, and that's bad. When you get a guy like that who is always so happy and kind of your energy guy, that he's not playing well.
Right. Were you surprised? Was it game 1 that he didn't even shoot a shot?
Yeah, that was a sign of things to come. That was bad. This is a guy who, in his mind thought, I'll stay one more year. And that's a bad thing to get in your mind. One more year and I'm going to the NBA. And, and he's talked about that. And he's so far away from the NBA right now. And that's probably going through his head. All these guys got people pouring down on them. It's not like when you play. They got handlers. They got sponsors. This kid's got more. Devo is everywhere. He's on billboards. He's pitching everything.
Right. That's a lot that's a lot to take in, man. It's real. Like, that's a lot to take in to be able to. Do you think the success of last year also affected the new guys coming in? Like, they saw what happened, but weren't here to see how it got done.
Yeah, and you're from Everett, Massachusetts. He's from Jacksonville, Arkansas, Devo. So that's when it's one of your own, you're a little more intense with the love and the hate, which is sad,
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but you talk about that when Amude and Tony came in. They probably had, we're taking this thing to the Final Four. And one thing those two aren't, they aren't Justin Smith. They aren't a physical presence. Tony's an aggressive guy, a high motor. But he's not a really big guy. You can post him up. And Coleman last game just kind of went over him. I'd really like to see one of those guys, when Coleman gets the rebound, just knock him into row 2.
Oh, he's a thick dude. Hey, that kid Coleman, Texas A&M. His father played football at Virginia Tech. Yeah.
We played no mas. We just let him lay it in, And And I just think you got to get a mentality back, and I don't know where it is, and Muss is so on them, and he's kind of like Nolan. He does all of the practice. I mean, the assistants may do the scouting, but it's Muss doing all the practice, and he sees all the good pieces, and he sees this team underachieving, and that's got to eat at him.
And I guess that's on a positive note. You do have, it is, I look at it as it being fixable, because the things that we talked about, turnovers, I do think in the last few games, they've committed more turnovers. Well, I mean, I know I can see the stats, but I think the reason for that is because you have guys now. I mean, you lost against Hofstra.
Yeah.
You're 0-3 in the league. I think guys now are starting to try to do it, not in a selfish way. I got to make something happen. Then when you try to make something happen, you put yourself in a bad situation, and then you turn it over. And we do have, then you think about it, Note's a one-on-one guy.
Yeah.
Likes a one-on-one guy. Even Amude, he's a one-on-one guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Jalen is, I think, our best passer. Devo is a playmaker. He's a willing passer. It's to have all those guys on the same page. It's going to take within the locker room. But I do think it's fixable from a standpoint of guys understanding that it starts with defense.
Yeah.
In free throws, really. I mean, they're a high free throw shooting team too.
Yeah, but you got good defenders. Devo's a good defender. Note's a great on-ball defender. Jalen Williams can defend, but sometime as a unit, the one thing they do have that I like, there's a care factor. I mean, Devo, Jalen Williams, and we're even seeing it now with Note, that, he cares about winning. He cares, it's more than just about him. And I saw that at the end of the game, last game, Note was on fire. He breaks to the hoop, and then he stops and dishes it to another guy. And I said, that's winning thinking. He's thinking about winning. Right. He's not thinking of just, racking up more points for JD. And then he was on the floor with the steal. He's bought in, and it's been a year and a half. That's been a great transition to watch Note, because you're a shooter and a scorer. It's hard to become an elite defender when you're worried about scoring all the time.
Right. Yeah. And that's, I think that's almost like the approach that they have to get to is like, let's approach offense. Let's approach defense like we do offense. Yeah.
Let's look what Texas Tech, does he even mention offense? I mean, what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Adams.
Yeah.
I mean, he has proven that, you can win with defense. That's the upset. Moss's calling card has been defense. I mean, you look at the end of last year, they smothered the rim and they played defense. And we may get back to that point where we shut down the three ball. We have Note maybe shoot threes. And, and one thing Muss does is he lets the guys play with a little freedom. Mm-hmm. Note will launch one from, you didn't do it as much, but Al do it range every once in a while. He'll give him that heat check because he shoots it in practice, but he gives freedom and he doesn't pull guys after missed shots. And I think the more desperate times get, the less freedom those players are going to have.
So I think your point about how they approached it last year. Last year, you're the number one defensive team against the 3-point line.
Yeah.
What does that force teams to do, Sully? We got to try to attack the rim. Yeah. Who's waiting for you? Justin Smith, Connor Vanover had a great season protecting the rim last year. And for some reason, I've talked to people about that defending the 3-point line, and there is an art to it.
Yeah.
You have to understand how to close out. Am I closing out hand up in the face? Am I closing out trying to hit the ball? Because, and I've thought about this over the last week or so, about how important it is to understand your position. And all you want to do is get that hand up. If you got a guy who's a 40% 3-point shooter, 40%, now that'll lead the nation. I mean, maybe 45%, but 40% is up there, the best of the best. That's 40% overall. Now, when you get that hand up, that percentage drops to 30. 35%. Now you make him off balance a little bit. Now he's shooting, that's a 25% shot. So
if you watch Arkansas, Muss drills the high hands. We do it as well as anyone. Hands high, feet moving. If you go to practice, it's the coach is brainwashed, and he has got into it. But they have this ability to lose shooters. I mean, there are some wide open threes they're giving up. I mean, it's like, and they have great activity, but somehow, even in man-to-man defense, they are losing shooters.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really troubling because these are good athletes. I know they're being coached, but it's not a case of everyone's hot against Arkansas. I mean, it's that they're giving up corner threes, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Before we move on, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up for Bet Rivers yet, now is the time, because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, it's more secure, and it's more reliable. Now that basketball season is tipping off, get in on the action at betrivers.com today, or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. You must be 21 years or older. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And while I got you here, let's talk about the Field of 68 Media Network, where college basketball matters most all year round. This is a digital media and podcast network that we've been building over the course of the last year. We have shows hosted by some of your favorite players covering the program that they love the most. AJ Guyton hosts the House of Hoosier. Eric Devendorf covers Syracuse on the scorer's table. Dan Dickow hosts the Gonzaga Bulldog broadcast. We have Florida's Patrick Young and Duke's Andre Dawkins and North Carolina's Shammond Williams and Michigan's Stu Douglas and Illinois' Deion Thomas. The list goes on and on and on. We have more than 30 shows right now. So hit the links below and check them all out. And while you're at it, make sure that you go check out the Field of 12 Media Network, your home for college football.
So as we sit here now, we talk 0-3. We have
a lot of winnable games.
And I do think, I feel really comfortable that they have. It's not like you can't score. And there are some teams you watch and you say to yourself, my goodness, if this team doesn't stop, if they're not playing defense, they got no shot. So like you go back to that Texas A&M game, Sullivan, and 86-81, right? We lose the game.
Yeah.
Okay, that's 5 points. You take one of the 16 turnovers. Let's just say 2 of our turnovers, we make one of those turnovers into a bucket.
Yeah.
Now you're talking 86-83. That's a one-possession game, Sully. Like the margin of error, and I know I'm pleading to my Razorback brethren and sisters, but we're talking about a small margin of error.
Yeah.
We're talking about you make 15 turnovers against A&M and get one more steal. Boom, the game flips.
Yeah. He has said the self-studies have
so
shown
we're right there. We're right there.
That our biggest problem are live ball turnovers. That's been our Achilles heel, has been the live ball. If you correct that, you're going to improve.
Yeah. Well, and not making excuses, but Texas A&M is like top 10 in the country. They lead the SEC in forcing turnovers, 18 per game.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to do. And I have to go back to last year, Sully. We lose to a top 10 Tennessee team by 2 points, I think.
That's right.
At Tennessee. Then we go to Alabama, lose by 30. Yeah. I get you. But then you could see in that Tennessee game, guys are starting to figure out their role. Yeah. Jalen Tate was like, okay, I'm comfortable. And that's the one thing, too. It's like you almost have to find – people talk about a point guard. I mean, facilitator. But, you need to find – like how Jalen Tate kind of moved into that role last year. But the other thing was the 4 other guys on the court allowed him to play that role.
That's right.
They didn't try to do his job. They weren't doing that job. And so I just think that you can tell they, like you said, I think they care. And I just think that trying to figure out how to do it all together. I just think we're close. I really think we're close, man. I do.
You were in the minority. There are a lot of people. I'm really surprised. I am really surprised with the confidence we have in Muss that 3 games into the season, people are saying we're going to the tournament. And I see with all those good pieces in a coach like that eventually he's going to hit something, you know. And and you mentioned it. If you can get Likes and Note cooking, what kind of backcourt do you have offensively?
Well, they're 2 guys who need Devo Davis. Those 2 guys need Jalen Williams. They need Audice Tony, who gets you offensive rebounds, stick backs, cut to the hoop, doesn't need to play to be called for them. The reason why I feel good, like Coach Muss, to me, is similar to how Coach Richardson was, where it was never stop the bleed. You remember stop the bleed? We're gonna stop the bleed. Like, we've seen coaches before, Sully. Believe me, football, we've seen in basketball, where it starts to go like this. Yeah. And it's like, it can't get anything. Boom, they crack.
Chad Morris.
But so I think Coach Muss is never going to lose the locker room. He's never going to stop pushing. He's going to be the toughest guy in the room. And that's, it's not, I mean, we're going to come out of this. It was mid-January last year, Sully, mid-January last year. We were people like, what the heck? Who are these transfers? What the? It was 1 month later in the top 25. Yeah. So,
I mean, it's insane. It's just the fact that the teams you've played and how you've lost. You haven't defended. We're not getting 3 or 4 guys every night. Devo's not the same player. I mean, the transfers are what they are. And right now, Likes is maybe in his doghouse. I don't know. He got dinged up a little last game, but he was like the 9th man in the game. And, and Vanover I viewed him as such an intriguing player, especially to a coach like Muss. And Muss started him every game, and he had a role last year. And some games he played really well, and some games like Alabama and LSU is no factor. But some games he was, and he always gets you the tip. And he was kind of, it was kind of the rhythm we were in earlier in the season. Then someone hit some threes against us. And he said, we can't start 2 big guys because we can't defend the 3. We can't defend the 3 with 5 small guys on the floor. So, but I feel bad for Vanover if he regressed that much. But, he's, to me, when you play Arkansas, you prepare for Note. And you'd probably prepare, if he starts, at least for that 7'3" guy, because you don't see anybody like him in the league.
Yeah, that's right. You got to respect his 3-point shot. He's practicing. I'll tell you what, Sully, they're about to get tested. Auburn's got a 7-footer, and 6'11" and 6'10".
There's some athletics.
Florida's got a 7-footer.
Yeah.
Florida's got big boy. Yeah.
They're going to have to play Vanover. I mean, Walker Kessler. You're not going to stick a 6'9" guy against him, or Note 6'7" against him. I mean, a Tony.
Sully, Tennessee's got a 7'3" guy and a 6'11" guy.
Oh, we'll have a matchup for Vanover.
Pronounce his name. It's like Ploff.
You got to be good at that. Come up with the best thing.
Olivier.
The best thing is to come up with a nickname, and then just call him by that nickname. I've learned over the years. We had a guy that's called his name in some funky way, and we called him. It was Dedetron, and I looked at. He returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns. He became the D-Train. I never learned how to pronounce his name. The D-Train.
I was going to say, you lost me after the second D.
That's it.
So looking overall now, have you thought, I don't put you on the spot, but have you thought about best case scenario as the Hogs sit right now, 0-3?
I'm thinking, 6-4 would get them on the right track. And I look at the schedule here in January, and you have to show signs here, and you have to beat the people you're supposed to beat at home, because realistically, we're one of the few teams in the conference that has a consistent home atmosphere that helps the team. I mean, A&M, we went to Mississippi State was a gathering, I mean, even though they're playing well, we're 0-3, and we may have angry fans, but we still have a passionate fan base that shows up.
Sure. That's a great point. That's a great point. You dropped that Vanderbilt game.
Yeah,
that's a winnable game.
Yeah.
You have games at the Bud that you can win. Now, obviously, I think Auburn and Alabama go in. And Auburn is, man.
Yeah.
They are impressive.
I watched them last night. Yeah.
Impressive. But I think you're right. I think you do take it, it's tough. You don't want to say game by game, but I think from a mentality standpoint,
yeah,
you win one.
Yeah.
You know how winning, man. That's the recipe for anything. Everybody, food tastes better. People shaking hands, hugging each other.
Vegas has us a 14-point favorite, and no one can figure it out. Why are we? We've lost 3 in a row, 5 out of the last 6. Missouri's actually coming off a good game when they beat Bama, and we're a 14-point favorite.
Muss effect. Musselman effect.
Missouri must be
Vegas knows
he's
out in Nevada. Vegas knows he's going to get these guys right. In Missouri, is coming off. I mean, as we're recording this now, for everyone listening, Arkansas plays Missouri tonight.
Yeah,
at Bud Walton Arena. Missouri's coming off a great win against Alabama on the weekend, where they scored 92 points, Sully.
Yeah.
92
points. That's scary. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think, though, that if there is a time where you can feel something's going to change,
yeah,
I think this could be it. And then, of course, after this one, I think now we can kind of switch our minds to okay,
yeah,
we need to get these next 2 out of 3, and then just start building on it, man.
I think at this point, desperation is going to sit in tonight. You're going to see a team playing with their hair on fire. I mean, it's going to be, Muss has been embarrassed and he doesn't know what to do. So he's going to lean on those guys. And I think you're going to see them play. He talks about one thing about his teams, like Nolan's teams, his good teams, when people play them, they say they play harder than the other teams. Everybody would say that about Nolan. Right. Some teams play hard, but Arkansas plays a little harder. And that's the way Muss likes to think about his teams. And I think you'll see that tonight. I'll be really disappointed.
You want to know why?
Why? Because Nolan?
Because life was miserable when we lost the game. Miserable. Yeah. He was grouchy. Nobody could smile. It was, you would run. You would have to do extra running with weight vests on, 40-pound weight vests.
We've done the weight.
My back still kills me.
Arkansas did the weight vest last year after the LSU loss. And they lost by 30 at Bama.
So that's it, man. And it's funny. It's like you remember that. You remember the pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
You remember the pain, and you don't want.
I guarantee you, these last couple of days, if he's spending Sunday at the office, you're paying for it on Monday or Tuesday.
Right. So as when this comes out, Sully, it may be after this Missouri game, and then we get LSU.
Yeah.
Which is going to be another. LSU is better than people think. Believe it or not, they're a great defensive team. I see them as becoming a better and better offensive team. But you put together Missouri, LSU, and those are both at Bud Walton Arena. Now we have
LSU's on the road.
Oh, is that on the road? My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. Now that's gonna be it. That's gonna be one of these. Hog up, baby. So, but
you got to get one of those, though. You got to get one of those. In this conference, you can. There's some nights I've looked at the scoreboard and said, "Whoa," it's.
It could happen.